Welcome to NFL Nexus, your home for the deep dive analysis you can't find anywhere else. Today, we're jumping headfirst into the incredible transformation of the Houston Texans. I mean, think about it. Just a few seasons ago, they were deep in a rebuild. Now they're a legitimate perennial playoff contender that absolutely nobody wants to see on their schedule come January. It's been one heck of a turnaround, and believe me, it was no accident.
So the question that everyone in the league is asking is pretty simple. What is the secret sauce down in Houston? How in the world do they build a roster that's not just loaded with talent, but plays with this distinct and ferocious identity? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down that core philosophy, the master blueprint that completely transformed the Texans and is now, ironically, facing its biggest challenge yet. We're going to pull back the curtain on every single detail. And hey, if you're into this kind of deep dive analysis, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. It really helps us out. And of course, let us know what you think about the Texans' whole strategy down in the comments. All right, let's get to it. To really get the Texans' success, you have to start right at the top. You got to look at the architect of this whole thing, General Manager Nick Caserio. At the absolute heart of this entire turnaround is his very specific, almost stubborn vision for what a football team should be. And it's a vision that goes way beyond just grabbing guys with the best 40-yard dash times or the most college touchdowns. He is painstakingly, meticulously building a team with a specific identity, a specific culture, and he will not compromise on it. So today, let's explore the key pillars of his philosophy and see how it all comes to life on the field. And this slide right here, this gets to the absolute core of it all. We're in a league that has become completely, utterly fixated on combine numbers, right? On athletic testing, on measurables, how high can you jump, how fast can you run. But Caserio, he's zigging while literally everyone else is zagging. He's looking for something deeper, something you just can't measure with a stopwatch. He wants a certain mental makeup. Guys who are tough, not just physically, but mentally. Guys who are football smart and who have this relentless, almost obsessive drive to win. It's a philosophy that intentionally puts character and on-field temperament way above those flashy combine stats. Okay, so mental makeup sounds great, right? But what does that actually look like when you're scouting a player? This is so critical because for Caserio and this organization, it is not just some vague buzzword they throw around in press conferences to sound smart. Nope, it is a concrete, identifiable, and totally non-negotiable set of traits that their scouts are actively hunting for in every single player they look at, whether that's a first-round pick or a guy they're hoping to sign as an undrafted free agent. So let's take a closer look at what really defines the Texans way. And this right here, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Just look at the raw honesty of this quote. There is zero ambiguity. Caserio is not trying to be everything to everyone. He just lays it out flat, violence and physicality. And then he follows it up with, if you don't have that, you're probably not going to work here. Man, that is a line in the sand. This tells you everything you need to know. Before they even glance at your stats or watch your highlight reel, they're looking for a fundamental aggression, a deep-seated desire to physically impose your will on your opponent, snap after snap. It's this stark, almost brutal clarity that defines their entire defensive identity. And that philosophy, it breaks down into this set of core values that really guides everything they do. And it's not just for the defense. This is for the whole team. Mindset means they want guys who are resilient, who aren't going to fold when it's the fourth quarter and things get tough. Selflessness and a team-first attitude. That's about finding players who care more about the team winning than they do about their own personal stats. Relentless effort and that physical play style. That's the on-field proof of that violence Caserio was just talking about. And it all gets wrapped up perfectly in head coach D'Amico Ryan's swarm mantra. This idea of all 11 guys flying to the football with one single unified purpose. I'm telling you, these aren't just words on a poster in the locker room. This is the absolute foundation of the Texans' culture. Okay, so we've talked theory, we've talked philosophy, and that's all well and good. But talk is one thing, right? Execution is a whole different ballgame. To really see this philosophy in action, let's look at a case study from the most high-pressure situation a GM can face, the NFL draft. We're going to dive into the case of Kamari Lassiter, a recent draft pick who is the perfect embodiment of the Texans' way and proves that Caserio is absolutely willing to bet big on his convictions. So let's talk about Kamari Lassiter, a cornerback they took in the second round of the 2024 draft. He is a prime example of this whole strategy playing out in real time. A lot of the draft analysts, they saw him as maybe a mid-round prospect, mainly because they were worried about his pure top-end athleticism. But the Texans, they saw something completely different. They saw a player whose toughness, whose football IQ, and whose on-field intelligence made him a perfect hand-in-glove fit for the culture they were building. And man, he has quickly rewarded that faith by becoming a true cornerstone of their secondary. So the whole story is right here on this slide. Just look at the contrast. Over on the left, you have the combine evaluation. His athletic testing numbers, they weren't elite. He wasn't the fastest guy, he wasn't the most explosive corner in the class. He even skipped some drills, which for a lot of teams is a huge red flag. You can bet that plenty of organizations saw this and just immediately slid him down their draft boards. But the Texans, they were laser focused on the column on the right. They watched his game tape, and what they saw was a perfect culture fit, an unmatched, violent, and hard-hitting play style. He checked every single box on their list. So while other teams saw risk in the numbers, the Texans saw a perfect Texan.
And the Lassiter pick is just a perfect example of the philosophy working to a T. But there is a fascinating and often really painful downside to building a winning team this way. And it's that success is expensive. When your system is this good at finding undervalued guys and turning them into stars, well, those players, and rightly so, they want to be paid like stars. And this creates a brand new, very difficult set of challenges for the front office.
The player who perfectly illustrates this challenge is right guard Ed Ingram. Now, Ingram was a solid, dependable player for the first few years of his career, but in 2025, playing inside the Texans system, he had a legitimate breakout season. His physical play style, especially how he just dominated in the run game, made him an incredibly valuable piece of that offense. He went from being a role player to a true cornerstone of their offensive line. And now, his contract is up, and that success is about to come with a very, very high price tag. To really understand Ingram's value, let's look at the numbers for a second, specifically his Pro Football Focus, or PFF grade. Now, for those who might not be as familiar, PFF is a really respected analytics site that grades every single player on every single play of every game. A grade in the 60s is considered pretty average, 70s are good, 80s are great, and the 90s are truly elite. In 2025, Ingram earned a 71.5 overall grade. That put him firmly among the top 20 guards in the entire league. And what's even more impressive, his performance in pass protection was even better, grading out in the top 10. This wasn't just a little improvement. This was a full-on leap into the upper echelon of NFL guards.
So when you've got a top 20 PFF grade and a season like that under your belt and you're only 27 years old, well, Ed Ingram is in a very, very strong negotiating position. The market for a player of his caliber is expected to start somewhere in the neighborhood of $12.5 million per year. And honestly, if a couple of guard-needy teams get into a bidding war, that price could easily go even higher. Just think about the contracts that guys like Robert Hunt or Kevin Dotson signed. That's the tax bracket Ingram is about to be in.
And this is where the rubber meets the road. This number right here is the bill coming due for all their success. The Texans are currently projected to be $5 million over the salary cap. They are in the red. This means before they can even think about signing Ingram to a $12 million a year deal, they have to first figure out how to clear at least $17 million in cap space. That's $5 million just to get back to zero, and then another 12 plus on top of that. It makes an already tough negotiation incredibly challenging. And this whole situation with Ed Ingram, it really highlights the central, defining challenge for Nick Caserio and the Texans moving forward. It is the ultimate NFL balancing act. How do you maintain your carefully built, culture-first approach when you're slammed with the cold, hard financial realities of the NFL salary cap? Look, the Texans' culture-first strategy has been a massive success. It's proven it can find and develop players, turning them into high-level difference makers. But that success has created the salary cap crunch. It's the great paradox of success in a hard cap league. The team's fantastic ability to develop talent has ironically created a roster full of expensive talent, making it almost impossible to keep everyone together under the cap. And you can just hear the reality of the situation in Caserio's own words here. He's not making any big promises. He says we're working through that process. He's openly admitting how tough the negotiations are going to be. But then he also makes a point to say, I'm glad Ed was on the team here this year. It's a genuine appreciation for what Ingram did for them, but it also has a little sense of finality to it, you know? It just highlights that brutal, often cold balance between a player's huge value to your culture and the team's strict budget. So ultimately, the Texans' culture-first approach has been a roaring success, turning them into a legit contender. But right now, it is facing its biggest test. Can this team keep its winning culture intact while trying to navigate the brutal financial tightrope of the modern NFL salary cap? The moves they make this offseason, starting with Ed Ingram, are going to be absolutely crucial in deciding the long-term sustainability of this whole fascinating experiment. So what do you think they should do? Let us know down in the comments. And please help support the channel by checking out our coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, and even adults. You can get to them through the link in the description or just scan the QR code on the screen. Thanks for hanging out with us today on NFL Nexus. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.